What is up, YouTube? It's your good friend Gifted Paradox here today. Before I start off, I just want to thank Thunder for allowing me to be on Thunderstruck Gaming again. This is my fourth time. Thank you a lot, man. I hope everybody enjoys the video. What I'm going to be talking about today is some red flags that you should look out for if you are trying to get with a woman or a dude, you're trying to get married. Some red flags that will scare you away or should scare you away. The reason I'm making this video is because, believe it, I'm 20 years old. On March the 1st of this year, I actually got married. And then on March 21st, I got divorced. So if anybody can tell you to avoid certain crazy bitches, it's me, because my ex-wife is literally the craziest woman I've ever met, and not in a good way at all. I just want to start off by saying the way things ended with me and her is that she cheated on me the day before we got married. I found out about it, and then we obviously got divorced. But there's something that I fucked up with, and that's that there's so many red flags that she gave me where I should have been running the other direction before we ever got married. And then hopefully if I tell y'all what the red flags are, you won't make the same mistake that I made, especially if there's any young guys out there. Because when you're in love, it's really easy to be like, no, we're going to be together forever. But if there's red flags that you just can't avoid, then, you know, no matter how much you love somebody, it's not going to work out. First red flag, and this is a prime example of why, this is actually the most important one, of why I should have ran away from her as quickly as I could have. And that's, how many partners have they had? How many sexual partners have they had? And, you know, before I was somebody where I was like, I'm not going to judge somebody. If they used to be a slut, then, you know, I'm not going to judge them. But what I learned with her is that there's no such thing as used to be a slut. There's no such thing. You either are one or you're not one. I remember we were dating for about 2 months, and somehow we got onto the topic of, you know, how many people have we slept with. And I'm at like 8 or 9 now, and I was at 6 at the time. And we started dating when I was 18. So 6 when you're 18, you know, that's pretty good. You know, it's quite a bit. I did not expect her to, you know, have more than that, definitely. But when I started to ask her, she didn't want to answer the question, so I started to guess. I was like 10, and she was like, no, and I was like 15, 20, 30, and she was like, I think it's in the 40s. And I was like, holy shit, because she's 20, she was 19 years old when she told me that. I was like, oh my god, like, how? You know, even if you lose your virginity when you're 15, that's like 10 people a year as a teenager. Like, that's ridiculous. So as soon as I heard that, I should have ran for the hills, because you don't want a woman who is a nympho. That's just not what you want. You would think that you want that, but you don't want that. So I would say, honestly, depending on how old you are, if it's over 20, you just need to run away. I mean, and if you're like young, like 16 or 17, if it's over 10, get out of there. Don't stay, because, you know, girls like that, it's impossible to satisfy them. It really is. Trust me, I tried, and I'm no chump in bed. I'm pretty good, but it's impossible to satisfy them because they have like this unquenchable thirst for sex. It's ridiculous, and it's kind of gross. So that's the first red flag, having way too many sexual partners. Another red flag is, how motivated are they? I would say with Danielle, she's probably the laziest person I've ever met in my entire life. We dated for about 18 months, and out of those 18 months, she only had a job for 3 months. So for the other 15 months, I was taking care of her, her son, and myself. You know, rent, food. She wanted to send him to private school, so I had to pay $388 a month for private school. And now, you know, a year and a half later, all I have to show for all my hard work is $900 in debt. So you don't want a girl who's lazy. You really don't, because, you know, in order for a relationship to work, it has to be equal. People have to try equally hard on both sides. So, you know, laziness, you don't want that. You don't want a slut, because once a slut, always a slut. Another red flag is, how did her past relationships end? Or what did she say happened in her past relationships? I can tell you right now that Danielle's past relationships, they've all ended badly. Pretty much as soon as anybody has tried to get her, you know, to commit to something, she bails. For example, I know that she dated a guy named Chase, and he asked her to marry him, and she was like, no, I'm breaking up with you. And the thing about Danielle is, she really makes you believe that she loves you. She really makes you believe it, but she's selfish, so she can't really love anybody, to be honest. And then her most recent ex-boyfriend, other than me, Blake, she told me that Blake choked her, was trying to kill her. But that's not true, because I talked to Blake, and he told me what really happened. and I believe him because she's a liar and he's not. So if a girl lies, or if she has like a really, really, really bad history with all of her exes, chances are she's not just like a bad picker. Chances are she's the problem, or she's just really unlucky. But that's not likely. If she doesn't have a good relationship with her exes, I mean, you know, I'm not saying that she has to text them, but if she, you know, has a really, really, really bad relationship with all of her exes, that's another red flag that you need to look out for. That's 3 right there. I would say if a girl has 1 red flag, it should be okay. 2 red flags, you're kind of pushing it. And if they have like 3, 4, 5 red flags, you need to stay as far away from that as possible. Learn from my mistakes for sure, because I made a lot of mistakes. Those are the 3 red flags that I really missed with her, really big ones. But there is something else that I found out through Blake, which is her ex-boyfriend, which is very, very disturbing. He said that one time, and he had no reason to lie to me, one time she left her messenger open on his phone, her Facebook messenger. And he looked at it because he didn't trust her, for a good reason. I mean, I never trusted her either, so, you know. He looked through it, and he saw sexual messages between her and her cousin talking about how they had done it before, her and her first cousin. And this was the woman I was married to. So guys, take it from me, you need to, like, even if you're in love, make sure you evaluate a person from an unbiased standpoint before you commit to anything. Don't get married. Don't ever get married. That's my advice. But if you have to get married, make sure that she's not a fucking lunatic. Okay? Alright, y'all. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please drop a like. As always, I love you guys, and peace out.